Welcome, punters, to the April edition of Tipster. Don't adjust your sets. This is not Mick Gannon. This is Luke Hovhanesian. Mick is sick in bed. We sent out our thoughts. I believe he's got the assistance of some great medical staff where he is. He's not too bad, folks, so don't write in. Luke Hovhanesian now, for folks, before I let him talk, Luke is a tipster you'll find at thegreattipoff.com. He writes a number of articles. His tips are available pretty much every day. You also hear his dulcet tones on SEN. How are you, Luke?
Not too bad, Damian. It's a nice change from being behind the camera.
Yeah,
Now we're in front of it, so hopefully we get a couple of winners and a bit more.
You let a secret out there because Luke's normally behind there doing the bits and pieces, apart from other staff behind the show. But hey, what an exciting time to come in, of course. It is the eve of the championships. We'll be on to that in a second. One little thing we want to mention, we've got a prize, I guess, up for grabs. $100 hard cash for your staking plan. We want to know your staking plan. There's been a bit of social media chat this week, Luke, on staking. So tell us how you stake. One thing you've got to do is you've got to have your GTO. So come to thegreattipoff.com. If you haven't already joined, free to join your alias, whatever you name yourself on thegreattipoff.com. Poke it down there first. Tell us how you stake. For the best, most insider staking plan, we've got $100 cash and we're going to announce it early next week on YouTube. So you put all that on YouTube underneath this video, your GTO alias, tell us how you stake and look out because we're going to announce it early next week. Let's talk about this Group 1 Colossal Glory Day called the Championships Day 1, Luke. Weather coming, inclement weather. We're hearing somewhere in the order of 70 to 90 mil potentially before, if the weathermen get it right. Well, what do we think? Doncaster, we've got 1,600 metres, of course, the Doncaster as it is, the mile, the Golden Mile, another wheels drawn the car park and Celestial Legends, probably got a nice gate, many other big names there. TJ, of course, with Imperatriz and I Wish I Win, the Derby, Riff Rocket, and Zardozi, and of course the 2-year-olds come back with Storm Boy. Lady Camelot gets another chance to go a double. What are you thinking, mate?
Well, it's Christmas for punters. So for big Group 1s, Doncaster, it's really hard. I mean, you could probably make a case for about 12 different horses in the race. Quite a lot of them actually have heavy ground form, so the rain won't be too much of an issue. I really like Militarise. We know he swims. On this same day a year ago, he actually won the Sires, which is on heavy ground, and he absolutely put pay to him. So, he's going to get a similar setup here. He draws well, and I just think it's his race. So about $12 at the moment.
That's very
really good value.
Very early mail. Of course, we shoot this on a Wednesday, so very early mail there from Luke Hovhanesian. Hang around because Luke's got his lock a bit later in the program. Remember too, we're going to go through our usual articles, which of course is Tipster of the Month in March, the top media tipsters in March, and of course we've got free tips for you for Championships Day. There's lots of big names. All the people who did really, really well made big bucks in March. So hang around and we'll get into it. Welcome back, punters. Of course, this is the point where we look at the best 5 tipsters in March. Now remember, we've got all the media tipsters, all the popular media tipsters recorded, and of course we let anyone join, and amongst those you'll see pro punters and punters having a crack trying to get to pro status. Here are the top 5, and Luke, what do we make of it?
Well, we'll kick it off with Nick Noonan. He's an absolute gun. Vic and Tassie form analysis, and he got here in the last stride of March. He nailed a $48 winner.
Did he?
So, he's beaten Itchy Brother right on the post.
Yeah, with 67 tips, though, he must have been travelling pretty well before that last bout of effort to get to 105% pot, which is massive. Who else we got there?
Then we'll go to Itchy Brother. Now, this guy, he's actually made this leaderboard 3 months in a row.
Wow.
So that's some sort of performance, and it's not like he's only putting in 10 or 20 tips. He's absolutely blasting past the minimum for the month, and he's getting 145 tips in. So you look at that average price of his winners, it's definitely a roughie finder.
$16, I'd be clicking my heels.
Yeah,
I'll tell you if I was doing that. And who else we got here?
Then we'll go to the third one, early market movers. Now, can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, look, early market movers has been going on for years at thegreattipoff.com, and James Beeson, or Jimmy Beeson as we like to call him affectionately, it's a formula, it's analysis that James does, and he looks at early market movers, and the thinking here is that the smart guys are picking off early mispriced runners, and typically they've got to have a hope of winning. Look, you just followed that alone, you know, you might be sort of backing more losers than you want to. What James has done is he's looked at some patterns and so forth. I can't speak to it in great detail because he keeps a bit under his wing, and obviously picks out those runners that he believes is smart money based on his statistical analysis. If you think, however that sounds, it works. He's got some solid stats on his early market movers, and once again, this time we see it in the top 5. But no surprise. Yeah,
when I was going through the stats, I actually saw that he's profitable over 365 days. So clearly it's working. And I guess the readers of the article every week are over the moon.
Yeah, absolutely they are. Who else we got, Luke?
Then in fourth, I've got Baz122. Now, Baz, he's just like Itchy Brother, loves his value, loves going through all the races and trying to see where the market's potentially missed one.
Yeah.
And he continues to nail them. So he actually had 4 winners in the month that paid over $20, which is quite impressive.
Wow, that's amazing. It's interesting to see these average prices, the guys that win. I mean, Nick stands out there at $5.50. It's $5.39 for early market moves. Over that, you're over double figures for the other two.
Yep.
Jack Dorling from Hong Kong Racing.
Yep. And rounding out top 5. So Jack does just charting, Happy Valley, Wednesdays, Sunday, Saturday, depending when their carnivals are. And he's flying. He has a really good strike rate. He's another one that's got an eye for value. And he knows the trainers and quite a lot of the form people around there really well. So he's probably getting that good inside info you want. Yeah. He knows when horses are on a peak, little things like that give you a bit of a leg up. So if you're ever betting late at night, he's your man.
He's your man. And of course, they're from the South China Morning Post, along with his other colleagues. And I was looking down the leaderboard before we came in and started the show. And there's a number of other colleagues who are very profitable during the month. So certainly a good resource to look at. There's the top 5 in March. On the other side of this break, we're going to look at the top 5 media experts. All right, punters, so now we're going to look at the top 5 media experts. Remember, there's over 500 media experts on the site. Over 400, in fact, that we record their tips. So you can see who's winning and who's not. Amongst all those in March, this is the top 5. We've spoken to the top 2. Luke, tell us about Phil Roberts.
He's a jet. He's a multi-code race caller, so he does greyhounds, horses, even harness occasionally, and he's actually profitable on both not only the horses but also the greyhounds. So he's definitely one to follow. For the horses, he normally does around about Newcastle, Scone, sort of around that sort of provincial country areas, and he's dominating. He's on a 3-week winning streak, and he's very profitable, so one to follow.
Goes to that sort of race caller theory that we always talk to. Warren Huntley at RSN. Look at those stats.
He's been around for quite a while. I mean, I remember, I think it was last year when he tipped the card that one day.
Yes.
There was huge carry on that occasion. Yep. His follower count on GTO skyrocketed. So, it'd be silly not to follow him in. He's clearly back in form. Yeah,
he's a very knowledgeable Melbourne form analyst for sure. And of course, Mark Guest there from RaceNet.
Yep, he's also multi-talented. He's not only a great tipster, he also is, I believe, a manager of quite a few jockeys like J-Mac and a few others. Yep. So that's when you know you're getting good information from a tipster, when he's instructing a jockey essentially how to ride and teaching them how to do things. You'd have to think he knows a thing or two about a horse.
Well, he typically would help get his rides, and that comes from doing form analysis at the start. Typically how this works, it's unknown exactly how Mark gets involved there, but typically they've got to be a good form analyst to help them get the rides.
Yep, 100%.
Although I don't think J-Mac needs much help getting rides. So there we have it, the top 5 media experts. On the other side of this break, we're going to be giving you free tips from winning punters and media experts. Well, it's free tip time. Everyone loves a free tip. It's the earliest mail you get, and it comes from verified winning punters in March through the whole month. If they're either on the leaderboard or just missed out, and here they come. All right, the number 1 person on the leaderboard for March was Nick Noonan. Here's his free tips, early mail for Saturday.
Thanks, guys. Good to be back on the show. For those who don't know me, I'm Nick Noonan. Do a bit of work for racing.com, doing the Tasmanian tips, and also RSN here in Melbourne on the radio, doing the tips in mainly the Victorian provincial circuits. So, that's where you can find a lot of my stuff. Just really getting stuck into the form lately. Head down, bum up a bit, and just trying to find a few winners. So hopefully we can continue a bit of a good run we've had recently. I found a few winners at a long price, which probably helped my results majorly. Looking at the racing coming up for the weekend, looks a ripper weekend of racing with obviously day one of the championships. Caulfield looked a bit tricky, so I thought we could just go down to Tasmania and potentially find a best bet down there. I'm going to go in race number 5. Markets aren't up yet, but I think if we get around probably 250 about this horse, I think it could be a really good bet, and that's Glory Mission. He was a good winner on debut at Hobart. He tried really well prior to that, sat in behind the speed and was pretty dominant in the end. He's still a bit green, but I think up to 1200 metres, coming out of a fast run maiden last start where they smashed the class average about 5 lengths above relative to that class average there. So he looks a horse with good talent, and I think him stepping up to the 1200 metres should get a nice soft run in behind the speed from barrier number 3. He should be hard to beat. So I'll make him the best of the weekend, but could be a day to go real value hunting at Randwick with that wet track. So hopefully all the punters have a fill up this week, and good luck.
One of the young, talented, uprising stars on the WA scene from OzRace, Jesse Dart's free mail for Saturday.
G'day guys, thank you for having me on the Tipster show. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jesse Dart. I do my form over at ozrace.com.au, covering all West Australian thoroughbred racing. I do my form via the eye. I've really put an emphasis on watching the replays, keeping an eye on which horses look progressive, which horses have a bit of a future behind them, which horses will potentially be a bit underbet in the market in subsequent starts. Mixing a bit of data here and there, but for the most part, trust the eye, trust the judgment, and very much price sensitive as well. If the price isn't there, I can't have a bet. Speaking of bets, my best for Saturday anywhere around the country is at Ascot, race 5, horse number 3, Bustling, in the Perth Stakes. It's a key let-up race to the Karrakatta Plate, which is our featured juvenile race here, and I think he's the best of the boys. He was dominant on debut, he was solid at his second run despite having to carry more weight than his rivals. Gets back to a much more fairer weight scale run in this race, has a really good chance to stamp his class for 2 weeks' time. And I think around that $3 mark, you're getting a very good price for a horse that I have pretty comfortably as the best horse in the race based on exposed form. So backing race 5, horse number 3, Bustling, as my best of the day anywhere in the country.
All right, there we go. So you now know who are top of the pop when it comes to punting in March. They've got the momentum coming into April. Hey, don't forget the staking competition, Luke. Of course, $100 up for grabs. All you've got to do is put the great tip-off alias, what you use to log in. If you haven't got one, takes 2 seconds. Go to thegreattipoff.com. Probably a bit more than 2 seconds, but not much more. Sign up, and it's great. Anyhow, and you get all the benefits from signing up. And post your alias there and tell us how you stake. Tell us how you stake. We're going to pick the best staking method here on YouTube below where you're seeing this video, and we'll announce that early next week. So look out for that. Of course, on thegreattipoff.com, Luke,
Yep.
you help me here where I forget anything.
Plenty.
Early market movers, lays, feature articles from you, Mick, and God knows who else,
Yep.
Cody, Heath Pope,
Neil.
who's a gun, Neil Evans.
Yep.
It's article and Tip City.
Yep.
And of course, we've got the all-in show, Mick, Gannon, Dean Watling, and of course, Louis Willoughby. And I believe Mick's been doing like a special feature analysis, like he did the Golden Slipper.
Yep.
What did he do last week?
So there wasn't one last week, but hopefully there'll be one this week.
On the ball.
If he can get over the man flu, there should be
Yes.
one for the Doncaster, fingers crossed. So that should drop either Thursday afternoon or Friday morning. So
great.
keep an eye out for that.
And the best way, of course, is to subscribe because you get alerts as soon as it drops. Without any further ado, Luke's lock, what is it going to be for this Saturday at Randwick?
I think we'll stick with militarising the Doncaster. I think he's going to get conditions to suit. He's going to swim through it and hopefully just powers home over the top.
And this is where a tips has got to be a weatherman, of course, because you are backing the weatherman
I am.
and assuming that we'll get that, which I think is a fair assumption, looking at the sort of 70 to God knows what mils they're predicting. You think we get a fair bit of that. We've got to leave you with this. So the Roy Higgins on Saturday in Melbourne. Have a look at this run. I mean, this would have to... The Mark Twain run, I've never seen a horse gather so much ground at the end, but the better thing still is having a look at these punters in the syndicate. This is the syndicate on the bottom end of the screen. Have a look at this. If you want to know what horse ownership's about, this is it right here.
Oh, wouldn't you love to be a part of that? I mean,
Yep.
he's booked a spot in the Melbourne Cup.
That's it.
They'll probably all be getting on the plane, flying over from New Zealand.
Yep.
They're set for a huge spring, so
That's massive.
good on them.
They'd be booking their... I'd say they've already booked
Yeah,
everything. It's
everything's
all booked out.
done.
Planes are booked. It's all happening.
Yeah.
Folks, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's so much going on. There's so many shows dropping right throughout autumn and beyond. You're mad if you don't. Don't forget the staking comp. Put your staking plan down below. Yep. Look out for Luke's tips. Luke's going quite well. I looked at your 7 day, and you actually had a winner on the board early before we came in to shoot.
Hopefully the form continues to Saturday. So we've had 3 winners already. So
there were 3 winners today.
Touch wood.
There we go.
Yeah.
So more from when I looked. Punters, good luck for the first day of the championships, and we'll see you again on this show next month.